I built my life with early mornings and late nights. For years I scrubbed rooms, folded sheets, learned bookings, and saved every small profit until one seaside bungalow became 3, then 5. People called it luck. It was not luck. It was routine, patience, and the promise I made to Dennis, my husband, that our children would stand on their own feet. When Dennis died, his daughter Kayla was still young. I stayed. I drove her to school, cooked on test nights, and sat through every loud, glittery phase that hurt because it reminded me of the quiet we lost. When Kayla told me she was getting married, I wanted to honor her and also honor Dennis. Everyone expected a big, flashy gift. I had a different idea. I would give her the villa at Coral Point. Not as a prize, but as a future she could build. The plan was simple. Kayla would work 2 years in the business, front desk, housekeeping, inventory, budgets, all of it. After that, I would sign the deed over. She would know every pipe and every payroll. She would be able to keep it standing when storms came. That was love to me. A home you can hold because you know how to hold it up. We met at the cafe near the pier. She looked bright and happy, phone face up on the table, a list of wedding tasks open. I told her about the villa and the 2-year plan. I spoke slowly. I explained why. I said, "It's not about control, Kayla. It's about you owning something you can run forever. No one can take knowledge from you." She did not smile. She stared at the water for a long moment and then asked, "How much is the villa worth?" I told her a range. She nodded once and said, very calm, "Wire me 10 million instead. Today if you can." The sentence felt like a knife with a soft handle. I tried to keep my voice even. I asked why cash. She said money gives choices. She said clubs ask for membership fees in full. She said a house is slow. You sell it, you wait, you pay taxes, you lose time. She said a business is stress, and she doesn't want stress in her first year of marriage. "You can keep the villa," she said. "Just wire the money. I don't want lessons. I want a clean start." I told her I could not do that. Not because I was punishing her, and not because I could not move funds. I would not because it would not help her. 10 million in a rush would pour into every fear she had and make the hole deeper. I said those exact words. She laughed once sharp. "You think I can't handle money," she said. "You never trusted me." Her voice grew louder. The couple at the next table looked over. I lowered my voice. I reminded her of the months after Dennis died, when the cards came with no limits and the boxes piled up by the door. I reminded her of the calls I made to stop the spiral, the counseling I paid for quietly, the way she cried when the bank app showed red. I told her I would rather give her a map than throw her into the ocean with a heavy bag. "I love you," I said. "This is love." Her face went cold. "Keep your map," she said. "And keep yourself away from my wedding." She picked up her phone and typed. A minute later, she showed me the screen. It was a message to the venue manager and planner. It said, "Remove Marion Blake from the guest list. Do not allow entry day of." She pressed send while staring at me. I felt my body go still, like the tide had pulled out too fast. I told her I would not fight her. I stood up and paid the bill. My hands were steady on the pen, which felt like a miracle. At the door I looked back and said, "You can change your mind. The villa is waiting. The work is waiting. So am I." She did not answer. That night I sat at the kitchen table with a stack of files. Trust documents. Insurance. Payroll. I read until the words blurred. I called our attorney in the morning and said we should freeze discretionary disbursements until after the wedding and honeymoon, just to keep the peace and stop any sudden moves. It was my right as trustee. It also felt like a seatbelt. If we were going to crash, at least the seatbelt would hold someone in place. There was one more thing. In the safe I kept an envelope I had never opened. Dennis wrote it months before he died. On the front he had written, "For Kayla. Give when she is ready to build." I had waited, not knowing when the right time would be. After the cafe, I thought maybe the right time was now. Not to win. Not to prove a point. To let her hear her father's voice again, because mine no longer reached her. I held the envelope in my hands that night. I remembered Dennis's laugh and the way he planned things on napkins, all arrows and little boxes. He believed in hard work and soft landings. He believed in us. I sealed the envelope inside a small white pouch and placed it in my purse. I told myself I would not argue at the wedding. I would not speak into a microphone. I would give her the letter, hug her if she let me, and leave. The week before the wedding, people called me with questions about seating charts and cake flavors, not knowing I was off the list. I answered kindly and kept my voice level. I walked the villas in the morning and checked the lamps at night. I made sure the staff schedule was tight so no one had to cover my feelings. Work is kind that way. It does not ask you to explain your sadness. It asks you to move the next chair. On the morning of the beach wedding, the sky was the soft blue that looks painted. I dressed in a simple navy dress and flat shoes for the sand. I held my purse like it was a small heartbeat. I told the mirror, go in peace. Leave in peace. I drove slowly along the coast, windows up, music off. When I parked near the dunes, I could hear the band warming up and someone laughing in a way that rises over salt air and strings. I walked toward the gate. I knew my name was off the list. I did not plan to push. I planned to ask for a minute in the bridal suite, hand Kayla the letter, and go. A planner I knew from years of events saw me and gave a sorry look. They told us, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I said it was okay. I said I only needed 1 minute. She put her hand on my arm and went to ask the manager. I waited by the fence where the sea grass bends like people bowing. I could see the arch of flowers, the rows of white chairs, the altar facing the water. I could also see the girl I helped raise in a dress that sparkled like foam. She looked happy from far away. I wanted that happiness for her, even if it did not include me. I reached into my purse and touched the envelope. It felt warm, as if it had been waiting too. Whatever happened next, I promised myself I would not shout, I would not beg, and I would not let the old grief swallow the new day. I was here for one thing, to give Kayla her father's words and to keep my own heart honest. Then I would turn around, walk back through the sand, and go home. The planner comes back with the venue manager and a guard. The manager looks kind. His voice is low. Ms. Blake, I'm sorry. The bride removed your name. We can't let you in. I nod. I don't argue. I show him the small white pouch in my hand. It's a letter from her father, I say. I only need 1 minute. I'll stand by the door. I won't speak to anyone else. He glances at the guard, then back at me. His face says he wishes he could help. She was clear, he says. No contact. Across the sand, guests start to sit. Phones are up. The band plays a soft song that sounds like sunlight. I keep my eyes on the pouch. I can feel the outline of the envelope under the cloth, like a heartbeat I'm borrowing. A bridesmaid I recognize, Jenna, passes by. Her smile is tight. She stops for a second. She's not listening today, Jenna whispers. I'm sorry. I thank her. I do not ask her to break any rules. I do not want her pulled into our storm. Then Kayla sees me. She is framed by flowers and ocean. For a moment, she looks like the little girl who loved to run into the waves. The moment is gone. Her mouth hardens. One small flick of her hand. Security moves. The manager whispers, "We have to escort you off the event area." His eyes are kind again, but his body follows policy. I lift the pouch. Please, I say. Just pass this to her. He shakes his head. She said not to accept anything. The guard steps closer. Ma'am, we'll walk you to the exit. He is not cruel. He is doing his job. Still, the words land heavy. I try to keep my back straight, the way Dennis used to remind me. Shoulders soft, chin level, heart steady. I take one step, then another. Sand gives under my flats. Someone in the third row turns and stares too long. A child asks, "Why are they taking that lady?" The mother hushes him, but the question floats behind me like a small balloon dragging a string. I do not look at Kayla. I worry if I meet her eyes, I will break. I look at the horizon instead. The line between sky and sea is clean, as if a careful hand drew it with a ruler. I think of all the mornings I checked roofs after storms. I think of Dennis writing lists on napkins. I think of the time Kayla fell off her bike, and I ran faster than I thought I could, heart in my throat, saying her name over and over. Love is 1,000 small runs toward someone. Near the aisle, Ethan shifts. I catch it from the corner of my eye. He takes half a step toward us, then stops. Next to him, Marcus lays a hand on his arm. It is not rough. It is a pause. Marcus looks from me to Kayla to the manager's clipboard. His face is calm, like a man counting pieces on a board before a move. Behind them, Victor rises from his seat. Our eyes meet. He gives one slow nod that says, "I see and I am sorry." It warms me for a second and then passes. We reach the side gate. The planner hurries over, breathless. "This is wrong," she mutters, but not loud enough to be heard by the wrong ears. She looks at my pouch. "Let me try again." The manager stops her with a gentle hand. "Please don't," he says. We've been given a direct instruction. The planner's mouth turns down. I hate days like this, she whispers. I tell her it's okay. I thank her for her kindness. She squeezes my arm the way you squeeze someone's hand in a crowded room when words would spill. Guests keep arriving. They walk past us, excited, unaware, until they see the guard and then their faces change. A few phones tilt in my direction. I feel a bright red heat rise to my cheeks. I breathe through it. I do not want my body to carry shame that does not belong to it. I turn my shoulders toward the dunes, away from the cameras. The wind lifts the edge of my dress. Salt sticks to my lips. A staffer steps out to adjust the sound. He doesn't know me. He smiles without thinking, then sees the guard and looks away. From inside the tent, I hear a microphone thump. A tech voice says, "Check, check." Then the music stops, just for a beat like a breath held too long, and starts again softer. The mood has shifted. Even the ocean sounds different, like it knows people are pretending to be calm. We clear the gate. The guard stops. "This is as far as I go," he says. He looks embarrassed. "Do you have a ride?" I tell him yes. I point to the path by the seagrass. "I'll sit there for a minute." He nods and walks back. The manager lingers. "If the bride changes her mind," he says, "I'll come find you." I thank him. I mean it. Even small promises feel like shade on a hot day. I find a wooden bench half hidden by the dunes. It is warm from the sun. I sit, knees together, hands on the pouch. I do not cry. The tears are there close, but they stay. My phone vibrates once. A message from an unknown number. "Are you okay?" There is no name. I type back, "Yes. I'm outside." I set the phone face down. The pouch sits in my lap like a quiet child. From here I can see slivers of the ceremony through the gaps in the fence. White chairs. The arch. A ribbon lifting, falling. I can see Ethan speaking to Marcus. Marcus listens without blinking, then checks his watch. He takes a folder from under his chair. Papers inside wink in the sun. He leans toward the officiant and says something short. The officiant nods. He closes his book, opens it again, flips to another page. It looks like nothing and also like the start of something. Jenna emerges from the tent, phone in her hand, face pale. She looks toward the path, sees me, and hesitates like she wants to come over. Another bridesmaid touches her elbow. Jenna shakes her head and goes back in. The band stops again. This time it does not start right away. The ocean fills the silence. A gull cries like a hinge that needs oil. I tuck a stray hair behind my ear and remember why I came. Not for a fight. Not for a scene. For a letter from a father to his girl. I picture Dennis's handwriting. The straight lines. The little underline he made when he was sure about something. Give when she is ready to build. Maybe she isn't ready today. Maybe she is. Maybe she needs to hear his voice to find the part of her that wants to build it all. The planner appears at the gate again. She looks around, spots me, and lifts her palms. I tried. I give her a small smile to say I know. She hurries back. Inside, the chatter grows louder, then hushes. People can feel when a story turns, even if they don't know why yet. A few guests stand, lean, sit again, like they can move the air into a better place with their bodies. I sit still. I think of kitchens at dawn. I think of fresh sheets and repaired hinges. Work has saved me many times. It teaches you to wait while your hands are ready. So I wait. I keep my hands ready. If someone calls me, I will walk in, give the letter, and leave. If no one calls, I will walk to my car, drive home, and put the kettle on. Through the gap, I see Marcus step up to the mic. He says something to the sound tech, then taps the head of the microphone once. The soft thud carries on the wind, a little drum that reaches even the bench where I sit. People lift their heads. The band is silent now. Kayla stands very straight. Ethan's jaw tightens. The officiant lowers his eyes to the book. Victor's hands rest on the back of the chair in front of him, fingers pressed white. A strand of ribbon comes loose and sails toward the water. I place my palm on the pouch and whisper, "We are still here." I do not know what Marcus will say. I do know that truth has a way of arriving like a wave. You can pretend you don't hear it. It still comes. I inhale the salt. I square my shoulders. Whatever breaks today will break clean. Whatever holds will be stronger for it. And if I am asked to walk back through that gate, I will stand tall on the sand and do what I came to do. The microphone popped once, like a small firecracker, and then it was quiet. I watched through the gaps in the fence. Marcus stood straight. He held a folder. His voice was clear. "Good afternoon. Before we begin, we need to pause for a legal matter." The air seemed to tighten. Even the ocean pulled back. He said there was a prenup. It was simple. It protected both sides. It had been sent weeks ago. It was not signed. He said the officiant could not continue with vows until all documents were complete. The officiant nodded and closed his book. Chairs creaked. A few guests whispered, then pressed their lips shut when others stared. Kayla stepped forward. Her face was bright and hard at the same time. "You are ruining my day," she said. Her voice shook, then rose. "This is bullying." Ethan looked at her with a tired kind of love. "We agreed to this," he said, quiet. "We talked about it 3 times. She turned away from him and glared at Marcus. "You are doing this for her," she said, and she pointed toward the path where I sat. People turned their heads as if I could be seen through wood and grass. Marcus did not raise his voice. "I'm doing this to prevent a bad start," he said, "and to protect consent." He placed the folder on the small table near the arch. He said there was something else. He chose each word like he was placing it on a scale. He said he had received screenshots an hour ago from someone in the bridal party. He said they showed a plan to push for cash and, if not, to pull back from the marriage soon after the honeymoon. He said he would not display them unless asked, but he had to flag the concern. The sound of the sea came and went like breath. For a moment no one spoke. Then there were gasps and a chair scraped. Jenna stood near the tent opening with both hands on her phone. She looked as if she might be sick. Another bridesmaid touched her shoulder. Jenna shook her head, then looked down. Kayla laughed, but it did not sound like laughter. "Oh please," she said. "People vent in chats. That means nothing." Marcus kept his eyes on the officiant and the groom. He did not look at Kayla when he read 2 short lines out loud, careful and slow. The first was "no lessons, just money." The second was "make her fold in public." His voice did not shake. The words hung there like cold metal. I felt the bench under me vanish for a second, and then return. Ethan stepped closer to Kayla. His hands were open at his sides. "We can fix this," he said. "Sign now and we start fresh. Please." You could feel the hope in him, trying to stand up one more time. Kayla stared at him like he had offered her a stone. "I'm not signing anything," she said. "Not with your brother reading my private messages. Not with your family treating me like a thief." Marcus turned a page in his folder. He pointed to a line and read it. It said that any gift from a parent was separate property and was revocable if it was used as leverage or if the parent was publicly shamed at the event to force payment. He asked the venue manager to confirm what had happened at the gate. The manager's throat moved. He said the bride had given clear instructions. He looked sorry and small in front of so many eyes. The officiant lifted his book and set it down again. "We cannot proceed," he said, gentle but firm. "Not like this." The band did not play. The wind picked up one ribbon and laid it over a chair like a fallen streamer after a party. A child asked too loudly, "Is the wedding canceled?" His father pulled him close and whispered something that sounded like, "Not yet." Guests began to shift. Some stood. Some sat. Some looked at their phones, anything not to look at the couple. A woman near the front dabbed her eyes with a napkin and shook her head, like she had seen this storm before. Victor rose from his row and spoke softly to Marcus. Marcus listened, then stepped back from the microphone and gave Ethan space. Ethan faced Kayla again. His voice was low. "I love you," he said, "but I can't start our life with fear and secrets." He looked at the folder, then at the arch, then back at her. "Will you sign?" The world seemed to balance on that second. Kayla's chin lifted. "No," she said. "I will not be trapped." Something quiet broke then. It was not loud, but it was final. The officiant closed the book and held it to his chest. "We will pause the ceremony," he said. "Guests, please take a short break while the couple and families talk." The sound tech turned off the speakers. The sea rushed back into the space where music had been. I sat very still. My hands rested on the white pouch in my lap. I could feel Dennis's letter through the cloth, like a small door waiting for a key. I watched people stand and turn and make small circles of talk that went nowhere. I watched Kayla breathing fast, her shoulders sharp under the dress. I watched Ethan press his palms to his eyes, then drop them and straighten his tie as if good posture could hold a cracked day together. Jenna slipped out from the tent and walked toward the side, then stopped, undecided, and returned inside. Marcus closed his folder with a slow click. He looked out toward the dunes. For a second I thought our eyes met through the gaps. Maybe they did. He spoke to the officiant, and the officiant nodded again. The manager rubbed his forehead and checked his radio. The planner took a deep breath and began moving chairs to make a small aisle toward the lounge tent, a path for hard conversations. I stood up from the bench because I knew what was coming next. When the truth enters a room, people look for a mother or a father or a voice that held them once. They look for the person they hurt and the person they still want to love. Victor stepped away from the rows and headed toward the side gate, toward the dunes. He walked like a man who had decided to be kind even if the day did not deserve it. The wind pushed his jacket back. He lifted a hand to shade his eyes and searched the fence line. I held the pouch tighter and waited where he could see me. My heart beat slow and heavy, the way waves hit rock. I told myself again, I did not come here to win. I came to give a letter, to tell the truth, and to leave with my dignity. On the other side of the fence, Kayla stood alone for a long second under the flower arch. And for that 1 second she looked like the child on the shore again, waiting for someone to call her home. Then Victor found me and began to lift the latch. Victor lifted the latch and slipped through the side gate. He came to me with careful steps, as if fast steps might break something that was already thin. "Marion," he said, voice warm and low. "This is wrong. Come with me." I stood, the pouch in my hands. "Only if it is allowed," I said. He nodded. "I'll make it allowed." He spoke to the manager at the gate. The manager looked nervous but listened. "Family discussion," Victor said. "Private lounge. No scene." The manager radioed someone, waited, then gave a small nod. "You can come to the side lounge," he said to me. "No farther." I thanked him. I walked beside Victor along a narrow path of boards laid over the sand. I kept my eyes on the wooden planks. I felt them steady under my shoes. The lounge tent was quiet and cool. The sea sound was softer here. Ethan stood inside with Marcus and the officiant. Ethan looked older than he had an hour ago. He tried to smile at me and then just pressed his lips together. Marcus greeted me with a short, respectful nod. The officiant held his book like a shield and then lowered it, kind. Kayla came in last with the planner. She stopped at the entrance, arms tight at her sides. She stared at the pouch in my hands like it was a test. "If you brought a check, keep it," she said. I shook my head. "It's a letter from your father," I said. "I only want to read it, then I will leave." Her mouth trembled and then went hard again. "Fine," she said. "Read it and go." I opened the pouch and took out the envelope. The paper was thick and warm. On the front was Dennis's hand, for Kayla. "Give when she is ready to build." I did not look at anyone as I slid a finger under the flap. I unfolded the letter and saw his careful lines. I read, "Kayla, my girl, if you hold this, it means time has passed and you are starting something new. I wish I were there to stand beside you. I can't, so I will write the truth I would say out loud. The villa at Coral Point is not a trophy. It is a tool. A good tool can build a life, but only in steady hands. The gift I want for you is not marble or keys. It is the skill to keep doors open when storms hit. If you are ready to work and learn every part of it, then Marion will pass the deed to you. If you are not ready, wait. Do not grab what you cannot carry. Love is not proven by money. It is proven by respect, time, and showing up when it is hard. If you are angry at Marion, breathe, and remember she stayed. If one day you shame her, stop and go make it right. A daughter who can say, I was wrong, will never be poor. I love you beyond my life. Dad." The room held its breath. I kept my eyes on the last line until the letters blurred. Then I folded the paper and slid it back into the pouch. No one spoke. The ocean and a soft clink of glass from outside were the only sounds. Kayla's face changed the way clouds change when a wind turns. Her shoulders dropped. She looked at Ethan, then at me, then at the floor. "I hear him," she said, voice small. "I hear him more than I hear myself." She pressed a hand to her mouth and started to cry. Not loud. Not for the room. For herself. "I'm sorry," she said, looking at me. "I was scared. When Dad died, I was always scared. Money felt like air. If I had a lot of it, I could breathe. I thought if I made this big day perfect, the fear would leave. I thought if I pushed you, you would give in. I didn't think." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I hurt you. I hurt everyone." I sat the pouch on the table and kept my hands open. "Fear makes loud plans," I said. "But it can learn quiet work." I looked at Ethan. "Your choice now matters more than any plan." Ethan took a long breath. He looked at Marcus, who did not speak. He looked at the officiant, who lowered his eyes. He looked back at Kayla, and love showed up again in his face, bruised but real. "I love you," he said, voice steady. "I want a life with you. But not today. Not like this. We need to mend the ground first. No wedding now. Kayla nodded, tears running. I know, she whispered. I know. She turned to me. Can I still enter the program? Not for a gift. For the work. Will you let me try? My throat tightened. Yes, I said. You can start at the front desk Monday. Shadow housekeeping by week 3. We go from there. No promises except I will teach you what I know. Victor let out a breath I did not know he was holding. Guests need words, he said gently. He offered to speak to everyone and tell them the truth in soft shapes. A pause, a later date, gratitude for coming. The officiant closed his book with care, as if not to wake a sleeping child. Marcus cleared his throat. I'll handle the logistics, he said calm. Vendors, deposits, notices. Before we left the lounge, Kayla stopped me and touched my arm, unsure if she had the right. I took her hand. She leaned in for a brief, shaking hug. It was not the hug we both wanted, but it was honest. Tell Dad I'll try, she whispered, eyes on the pouch. Tell him inside you. I nodded. He heard you, I said. He hears work. Outside, the light had shifted. Victor stood at the microphone and thanked the guests for their kindness. He said the couple needed time. He did not blame. He did not shame. He made a hard thing sound like a brave thing. People clapped, not loud, but enough. The band played a gentle song while chairs moved and friends checked on one another. I walked back to the dunes with the pouch in my hands and the wind in my hair. The manager met me by the gate, eyes wet. I'm sorry for before, he said. You were doing your job, I said. And you did it kindly. He nodded. Today changed me, he said, like a confession. I smiled. Good days do that. Bad days too. At home that night, the house was quiet. I put the letter back in the safe, not as a secret, but as a compass we had used and would use again. I made tea and sat at the table where I had read trust documents and prayed small prayers. I texted Kayla. Proud of the truth you spoke. See you Monday at 7 a.m. She wrote back, I'll be there. I'm scared, but I'm coming. Weeks turned into months. Kayla worked the front desk and learned names and learned that real service is not a smile you paste on, but a way you see people. She cleaned rooms with housekeeping and found a rhythm in sheets and corners and the sweet click of a tight tuck. She followed me into budget meetings and asked the plain questions that show a person is ready to understand. She made mistakes, owned them, and fixed them. She learned to hold a guest's anger like a wet towel, wring it out, and lay it flat. Ethan and Kayla went to counseling and spoke about fear like it was whether you can prepare for. He visited her after shifts with takeout and stories from his firm. They did not rush. They did not post. They cooked simple dinners and walked the pier without trying to make it look like a movie. Marcus checked in sometimes, not as a lawyer, but as a brother who wanted quiet to last. One evening, after the season turned and the air tasted like rain, I called Kayla into my office. She arrived early, hair tied back, eyes clear. On the desk was a small folder with a simple contract inside. You've run this small property well, I said. I'd like to make you managing partner of Seagrass Cottage, with a path to ownership if performance holds for 2 years. She looked at the folder and then at me. I won't ask for a shortcut, she said. I'll earn each line. I nodded. That is the whole point. As for the villa at Coral Point, it stayed where it was quiet and strong. It did not feel like a prize anymore. It felt like a promise I could keep when the time was right. Sometimes I walked past it at dawn and touched the gate, thinking of Dennis's line. A daughter who can say, I was wrong, will never be poor. I had seen that line come true. The shocking part of that day on the beach was not the microphones or the messages. It was the simple twist at the end. The loudest push did not win. The quiet letter did. A father's words set a boundary, and a daughter stepped back from the edge and chose to build. Not with money first. With work. With respect. With love that shows up when it is hard. We never set a new wedding date on a big calendar with gold ink. We let time do its slow work. One morning months later, Kayla brought coffee to my office before her shift. I signed the prenup, she said softly. I asked Ethan for it. I was ready. She smiled, not wide, but deep. I felt a calm settle in me like sand after a wave. Good, I said. Now go check the boiler. It's making a sound. She laughed and grabbed her keys. Work waited. Life moved. And the sea kept its rhythm, steady as a heart that finally knew how to breathe.